All right, so that is now on, and
Okay.
we're
live. Starting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are.
Cool.
So we're setting up.
This is the pre-show.
This is the pre-show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So we're getting everything set up. I'm gonna get my Twitch up. So I have my chat up.
Okay.
And people can chat with us.
Great.
Because we want that.
Yeah, we need... Okay, everybody, if you're here early, we need questions. We want to answer questions.
That's right. We need comments.
Yeah. Comment, question.
That's right.
Concerns, corrections, all those things.
Definitely.
Corrections, absolutely. Yeah, because it's not like I'm an authority. I've been doing this a long time, but that doesn't necessarily make anybody an expert. That's a little pro tip for everybody.
Nah.
Just because you've been doing it a long time doesn't mean you're an expert.
I'll make sure.
There's always more to learn.
Yeah.
Oh, did we get a message?
Hey, you know what that is? That is the little butt buzz telling us that we are live on Twitch.
Oh, okay. Well, we knew that. We knew that.
So that way we know
Mm-hmm.
that, you too, if you're subscribed, can get a little butt buzz.
Yeah.
There's your little commercial.
So you mean to tell me? So you're gonna do you're gonna do ASMR and we're gonna do butt buzzes on this show?
Yeah.
Wow, we're covering all the.
I know we're covering
both
it all,
sides.
aren't we? Exactly. Yeah. And if there will be some unintentional ASMR.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're painting happy little miniatures here. You hear that?
You want to be able to hear the brush strokes.
And yeah, you want to hear those brush strokes. And so I don't know why I can't get out of this freaking screen.
We got time.
I know,
we got
right?
time to figure it out. That's what this is about.
Yes, discard those changes. Put on your headphones.
Yeah.
Get yourself a little snack.
Pick up all those extra sounds.
Yeah, right now we have.
As we're getting ready.
Right now we have a Star Wars thing up on our Happy Little Miniature, so I'm gonna change that.
Is that what? Okay.
So that's the other reason why we have a little preview screen, so I can get all this done before. That's from our surprise stream. We did a surprise stream earlier this.
Oh, okay. And it was Star Wars?
It was a Star Wars, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna put that one on there so they actually know. Hey, it's Happy Little Miniatures. What is Happy Little Miniatures?
Yeah, what is Happy Little Miniatures? Heidi, tell me.
Well, Happy Little Miniatures is a paint it and play it stream.
Okay.
So basically, we're taking a game. This one happens to be Zombicide. And we go from unboxing it and going, oh my gosh, look at all these miniatures. What can we do with this?
Yeah.
And we pick a color theme, and which we're kind of at that. We kind of picked our colors last week, and then we're gonna paint it, and we're gonna go through all the different techniques, and each week is a different technique. And you're going to learn right along with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to learn grammar too, I guess.
Yeah.
Because obviously I can't speak today.
No problem.
And we're not playing Imhotep. We're painting.
We are going to paint.
Yeah.
And we talked about, we talked about color schemes. We talked about, actually the very first day, we pretty much just talked about how paint works. That was the very first episode.
Yeah, that was the first episode.
All these episodes will fold into each other. It's not necessarily a chronological thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The miniature itself is chronological, but what we talk about is stuff you could go back on, and it's not like it's time sensitive. So you could go back on it and find out some information. Because like I said, the very first one, we just talked about paint mostly and how paint works and why does it not stick to some miniatures and to others it does?
Exactly.
The reasons behind that, and just types of paint. And we went into the primer. We talked about primer and like what kind of primer do we want to do, white or black? And then we pretty much decided we're going to go with white, at least for now. We can always go back and do a black primed miniature.
I think we are to that point.
Yeah. Oh, to get started with
and so this is why we always put an ish on there.
Okay.
Is because 5-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Is because Hey, look at that. See how I faded in?
Yeah, cool.
Hey!
Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
I'm Heidi, and this is Dane.
Hey.
And this is Happy Little Miniatures.
Yeah.
A presentation brought to you by GirlzgameToo.
Episode 3. Yeah.
Episode 3.
Yeah, already. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been 6 weeks. Yep.
I know.
Yep.
Wow. Look at that.
Yep.
So, yeah. So we kind of went through what our previous episodes were. If you were listening in our beginning thing there, and
pre-show.
Our little pre-show there. Yeah.
So we're gonna start doing that. We're gonna start doing a pre-show.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So there'll always be a little pre-show there to give you time to get your snacks and all that.
Yeah, we can get ready about what we're going to talk about, so you can kind of like get used to like, okay, that's probably what they're going to be covering, whatever we talk about.
Exactly. So you can be like, oh, what are they doing today?
Yeah.
So we have miniatures.
Yeah, and as you see, they're white prime. Oh, and the zoom cam really likes. The zoom cam really likes the one that we are not going to paint.
We're not painting today.
But we do want to show you the difference between these two. Oh, look at that! It zoomed out as soon as I did that.
It's doing really well for us today. It really is.
Maybe this is going to be like a Black Mirror episode. Which, suddenly the camera wants to take over the show.
It totally is. It's totally taking it over.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm turning into a puppet right now. Okay, so you've got the black primed here. Look how different that looks.
It is, and I really like those colors. I gotta say, especially today for some reason.
Yeah, they came out really good. This camera is really working for us this time.
Of course,
I think it's making up for all the transgressions of last time. It was being very naughty.
I'm gonna be right back.
Okay. Yeah.
I know. I was supposed to take care of all this before.
Oh no, it's no problem. I can vamp. So you've got the black prime. We talked about that last week. Black prime or white prime? Which one should we pick, right? Well, we decided to go with the white prime for various reasons. I can't even really remember what the reasons were. I mean, it stands out, like it's bright colors.
I think we decided because, well, last week Close-Up Cam really liked the white prime, and so I think that's one reason why we were like, we really liked these colors.
Yeah, they do pop.
We thought they popped better.
Yeah. And
we thought that this kind of mushed more.
Yeah,
Daisy.
As you can see on the camera, it does tend to kind of almost gray out some of the colors.
It does. And so we didn't know if we really were going to see the definition in our dude.
Right, of the actual like sculpt, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And we wanted that definition.
So yeah, when you start with white prime, that's definitely something.
We're really happy with Close-Up Cam today.
You can you can keep going with more and more highlights, and that was something that Heidi mentioned last week. If you did keep going with highlights, like even doing a dry brush of a really, really light purple, you can do that. The trick to it is it's more steps. So we're trying to keep the steps down to as few as possible.
Because we have this huge army to do.
Right, exactly.
Now, the other thing that we were discussing before we went on was, because I really like these colors here. Not that I'm trying to flip off the world here.
Yeah.
I love these colors of this dude. So we were talking that we could maybe do a black wash.
Yep.
A dark wash on this dude.
You can always do that as a final step if you want to.
And see how close we can get him to this dude without the black undertone.
Yeah, and what you would do for that is...
we're going to try that.
Yeah, you would actually just wash completely. Just completely wash the entire miniature.
Yeah.
Especially once you've already done all the basic colors. So we can do that after we've added the metal and then done the spikes and all the detailing. And then do one black wash at the very end.
Over everything.
Yep. So that's a way you can do that. And it'll kind of like unify everything. It'll make everything look a little more dingy, a little more dusty.
Black Drakenhof or something.
Yeah, well that stuff is really dark blue. So it's really, really dark blue. It can almost look black in some cases. It just depends on the colors that you're doing.
I had no idea.
Wash. Yeah, it's a very dark blue.
All right, so we probably should get started on this.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's get started. We've been talking about it this whole time.
Yeah, because I want to paint today.
So much paint, right?
Okay, so we're doing. I'm gonna take this dude down.
Yep.
I know Close-Up Cam's gonna get upset.
Yep, that's what we're doing.
This is the dude we're doing.
Yep.
I almost want to give him a tilt. I wonder if there's got some putty I could tilt him with. Somewhere I have putty I could tilt him with. Don't know where I put my putty.
Okay.
All right. That's all right.
Yeah, we can do it next time.
We'll do it next time. I'll remember the putty next time.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
So
we got our prime miniature.
We have our prime miniature.
So
we each have a different one, I noticed.
We already talked about priming. So that's been covered, everybody.
That's in the second episode.
Go back to the second episode.
Make
some comments on priming.
Yes.
So we can answer them.
Yeah, we definitely, and you don't necessarily have to prime. We also discussed that.
We also discussed that. So
what?
Check
it
out.
Check it out, right?
Yeah, it's good stuff if you've never painted before, especially.
All right. So,
okay.
Where do we start? What do I do?
We get some paint. So, you probably saw me shaking it up. You always want to shake up your paint.
Shake it, give it a shimmy.
And I say, remember why? I remember I said why in the very first episode.
Yeah, so go to the first episode, find out why.
Yep. See, it's all connected.
See how we did that?
Yeah, sneaky, right? So you shake it up really good because it's an emulsion. It's a little.
He told you.
I just went ahead and told you. I'm being nice.
He is.
It's an emulsion, but I'll explain what that even is.
Do
it's
I
like
need to lift you? Are you? Huh? You're a little short.
Oh, maybe a little bit. Just a little bit. Little tiny bit. Here, let me. Yeah, that's perfect.
There we go. Okay.
Yay. Now I can.
I noticed you're doing this.
This is the way I really normally stand. Of course, no. This is more like the way I normally stand when I'm painting miniatures.
So he's slowly going to be slumping down.
Yeah.
And we'll bring the camera back down for y'all.
Okay, so ideally you don't want to, when you're taking paint out of a paint pot, you ideally don't want to use your brush. I'm going to be a little...
Really? Now, see, I love the fact that these paint pots have this little thingy on them, which I'm going to gotta be very careful.
They just pop right off.
But you see that Citadel paints have this little thing here that you can just dip right into the top.
Yep.
And I love that about Citadel paints. Now, are you telling me I shouldn't do that?
Well, you can. If you're going to do that, I would suggest you do it with your brushes that you... these are just like base coating brushes, general purpose brushes that we're using for the start. So if they're the brushes that you're just kind of have the workhorse brushes, you can do that. But
not your really
generally
good brushes?
your good ones, you want to do something different, which like a lot of people will even just use the other side of the brush to take some paint out and put it on the palette, and even put a little bit of water in there too. Just a little tiny, like one little dab of water is usually enough.
A dab will do ya.
Yeah, exactly.
Got that,
exactly.
folks? A dab will do ya.
And speaking of that, even when you're taking some paint out, and I'm going to take some out just like this. Covering up. Almost
there you go.
Almost there.
Monitor work.
Taking exactly. See, it's the reverse. Just taking it right out of that little divot
That's
area.
That's what I mean by monitor work. You always got to go to the reverse of what you think you're going.
This much paint is like enough for probably at least.
And this is what I have a massive issue with, people. I always use way too much paint, way too much glue, way too much. Watch Real Girls Cosplay. You'll see me got glue everywhere. Coming in 2 weeks.
Okay, so
all right.
I took a little bit of paint out and put it on my palette. I spread it out. And again, just one little dab.
Right,
I'm going to do that on your palette.
Give me my dab because,
put it right there.
I have issues.
And then I just get my brush barely, like a drop of water.
A drop.
Yep, just one drop of water for that much paint. So.
All right, so drop's going to do
It's not really quite 1-to-1 ratio. And I'm definitely not scientific about ratios, that's for sure. Okay, so we have just enough paint where it's kind of thinned out. And actually, this is the Lich Purple. This is our first step for the skin of the zombie.
Lich.
There it is. Lich Purple. Yeah, this camera's working really good this time. There we go.
So we are pleased. We are pleased with that.
It's kind of a middle value.
All right.
It's pretty high saturation.
This is going to be the skin, not the clothing.
Yep.
And not the spikes.
Yep. And, it's not really that big of a deal if you get it on your clothing or the spikes, but generally we're going to try to do, just for the purposes of the webcast, we're going to just kind of put it on as thin as we can for the first coat especially. And what you'll see is that when it's this thin...
This is really, really dark.
Yeah, you'll see that the white is still showing through.
Okay, mine's not.
Okay, so you need more water. If you don't see any of your primer,
see how mine is quite dark.
Yeah, you can see it on like the torso areas. So if it looks too solid, you probably want to get some more water and then spread it out.
Okay.
So yeah, just go right in there and grab some water.
Grab a little water.
While we're talking about water and brushes, one thing you don't ever want to do with your brushes, if you want them to last any amount of time, is don't leave them
sitting in there.
Yep. You just don't want to do that, because what that does over time is it'll do what.
Are the hands purple too? Yes,
oh yeah,
they are.
all the skin. Yeah, all the skin. What it'll do is it'll create like a little curve on the brush, so you want to avoid that. And as a matter of fact, my brush even has that on there already. You can probably barely see in the very tip. You can see a little curve to it. Fishtailing is one of the things they call it.
Is that what they call that? Fishtailing?
Yeah, it's one of the, there's all sorts of things.
If you look at my brushes, I probably have a lot of fishtailing.
Yeah. But that's okay. If you're just doing general purpose brushing, painting, it's really not, anything that's going to, you can still paint with it, obviously, because that's what I'm doing. But we're following that 2 thin coats principle that I talked about in
the Duncan rule.
The Duncan rule. And I talked about last episode that they're going to be coming out with some new paints.
Oh, and I noticed. Yes, I was going to say, are you going to talk about that?
Did you see the?
I did see
you did see the news? Okay.
Yes.
So
I want you to talk about it.
Sure. Yeah. Of course. I was excited to talk about it. Absolutely. I'm always excited to talk about paint.
Yeah.
Especially new stuff, and is it a gimmick? Is it not? This new type of paint.
I found this fascinating because I have friends who have done this before this came out. Just made it up themselves with like Dixie cups. So go ahead. Oh yeah,
it is called contrast paint, and it's coming out from Citadel. And what it is it's not really. If any of you are already familiar with miniature painting, it's not really an ink. It's not really a wash. It's a thicker kind of paint. If any of you know about the Citadel range, the technical paints, they come out with gemstone paints.
Like Night Gaunt's a technical.
Yeah, that's a technical as well, and that's a little bit thicker as well. So they probably what they came out with was a medium to add to what they already had, their pigment. But it's a medium that apparently has some type of qualities to it that have almost like self-leveling, or like it creates a gradient somehow.
Interesting.
That's, their ideal scenario. So we're definitely going to be getting some of those paints.
Oh, trying them out. We got to try those out.
Because what they're designed to do is over a primed miniature, the idea is that you just do one color for each area of what, like skin, fur, armor, whatever the different areas are. Do one color for each of those different areas. And then if you want to do maybe a highlight, and then you're done, allegedly, ready to paint and ready to play. So it's really designed more for beginners, which is this whole point of doing this is for people who have never painted before. So all the more reason to test it out. So Citadel Games Workshop, if you're listening, you feel free to send me a couple of my way.
Send us some. Well, hi, we have a viewer.
We'll be happy to try them out.
Hey, Senpei. Hi. Hello. We got a lurker.
All right, great. Welcome. If you have any questions, we're painting Zombicide miniatures.
We're painting today.
Yeah, we're painting purple.
Happy miniatures.
And that's another thing, is that it's actually a little tougher color to paint in general than like the primaries are.
This kind of is. Because it's kind of... It's not very even. It's not going on even at all. Let's see, look.
Okay. Well, it's already drying out, isn't it?
It is. It's already drying out.
Yeah, so that's something else I mentioned, forgot to mention, actually, while you're painting.
These aren't skin, right? Back here?
Oh, yeah, do the bulges, too.
Oh, do the bulges, too?
Yeah, for sure.
See, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, all those...
I didn't know if these bulges here were skin or what these were, y'all. See these back here?
All these...
They kind of look like boils.
Bumps and stuff, yeah.
So
these are called tainted zombies.
We checked these guys out, and these guys are like full of blood and guts, and they are like living grenades.
Yeah,
is what they are.
So
in the game.
So they're definitely
because you need to know that when you're painting, kind of. Don't you want to know? We want to know that because this is the Friends and Foes expansion.
Yeah.
Of course, we started with the expansion because these heads look cool.
They were way cooler looking, in my opinion.
You're like, ooh, these are cool. We need to check these guys out. And so then we're like, wait, they're friends and foes. We better figure out if these guys are bad or good before we start painting them.
Okay, so
right. Okay, see, I did better on them.
Okay.
Don't you think I did better on them?
What's that?
On coverage. Lighter coverage.
Yeah, lighter coverage, right? Yeah, because you're gonna do a couple.
Well, hi.
Of coats.
Now we got a few more. Folks.
Yeah, you're gonna do a couple of coats of this, so it's gonna.
All right.
It's gonna look a little thinner.
That's is that armor or is that his chest? Now, see, I'm having a hard time figuring out what's skin and what's not.
That doesn't really quite have that contrast yet.
I guess you could figure that out on yourself. Now, you did all that. So you're saying that's all skin?
Yep, all of it, the whole thing.
Okay, I'm doing it all.
And even if you were to paint the whole thing purple, that's fine too. But we're kind of just doing this for demo purposes, so that way everybody can see the whole idea of the principle of painting different areas, as you go along. That's just one.
Probably the hardest part for me.
Yeah. Is
painting, not just doing it all and
right.
And actually.
Well, you can, if you want to.
No, because I want to learn how to be more detailed.
Well, this isn't necessarily the right way. That's kind of the whole point of. That's what makes it a hobby. There's not. I mean, I don't know if anybody really believes that there is only one right way to do this.
Right way.
Otherwise, why would people be doing it?
Here.
So many
different ways. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
So you see how it's not perfectly covered.
Yeah, and that's okay.
This is my first coat.
Yeah, because you're going to do at least two coats. Two thin coats, ideally.
I did much better on his back boils. Nope.
Yeah.
Over here.
Yeah.
Yep. Over here. There we go.
You can kind of see it.
So you can see I did much better on his back boils.
Yeah.
Than I did anywhere else.
Like a little shiny. Yeah. It's the paint's still a little wet, so.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, so now that is going to
I'm blowing my mini.
Well, that's another reason. That's another reason to do two thin coats, right? Because
now I have really happy minis.
Well, it'll take less time for it to dry. Right?
You did well on keeping a straight face.
Yeah. Oh,
So how did
the puppet slam? So.
I was just gonna say, how did Gore Cannon go this weekend? Mm-hmm. Because you had a puppet thing this weekend.
I did. It was called the Discordia Variety Hour, and it was at the Sixth Sense Theater. And I think I would have liked a little bit more attendance. We had a good group. But,
I would have loved to.
There was room for more people.
I was lifting. I lifted people over there. So
you did.
I did.
Did you drop some people at the Sixth Sense?
I did drop people over there. So
do you need more paint?
You gotta go see my buddy.
Do some promotion, right? Some cross
That's right. Do some, and I did cross promote you in our Friday show too. I told everybody to go see you.
Great.
And
thank you.
And so
So we would have had an even smaller crowd, is what you're saying.
If it wasn't for me.
Well, we'll work on it. It's kind of it's a growing show, so we were certainly expecting that was a possibility. So.
Well, I love your show. I love mature puppet content.
Yeah. Well, mature, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but
adult puppet content.
It's definitely
Let's put it that way.
It's adult themed, but when it comes to maturity, yeah.
That's another.
Well, it was the same.
So was it the same one? Because I was just gonna say, all right.
Yeah.
So they did. I went and saw it at the Arizona Puppet Theater, right?
Arizona Puppet
Theater. Yeah, and so it's a. It's Zombie Dave, right?
Yeah, Zombie Dave.
Is the character.
He's an art teacher, zombie art teacher,
and he's doing a video podcast, and it's absolutely hilarious. I died laughing because, of course, it seemed like it was a total takeoff on this show.
Well, that's a coincidence.
But it was a total coincidence because
we wrote the script.
They wrote the script before we ever did the show.
Before we ever even started.
But it was really funny because I could relate to so many of the jokes because I do this show and there was just so many things that you guys were riffing about.
Yeah,
that
there's definitely a lot of tropes with every kind of
there was
hobby and every kind of
so
thing.
it was definitely very funny and So go check them out. When's your next show?
Oh, my next show.
Hi, Mark Mann's group. How are you? Welcome.
Yeah. If you have any questions. Oh, hey. Oh, somebody says, wow, that looks cool. Hey, I'm reading comments.
You.
Wow, this is the first time I've done that.
It's like we're so happy to have comments.
Mark, if you have any questions, let us know. But what we're doing is we're doing base coating of Zombicide miniatures. We're starting out with purple. We're doing the 2 thin coats, the Duncan rule. We're following the Duncan rule, which will change in June, apparently.
Oh, really?
If anybody knows. Well, when they come out with the contrast paints, it's one thick coat.
That's true.
Yeah, so
they will change it.
What you were doing at the beginning was what you're supposed to do for the new range.
See,
so,
I'm such a starter. I'm such a trend starter.
Yeah, there you go. You were already, everybody saw that. That's
I'm already ahead of the game. They said, look what Heidi's doing. Now we got to make a new paint for what Heidi's doing.
Absolutely.
And so then they did.
Yep.
There you go. So, all right. So there's my second. All right.
Is this your second coat?
This is my second.
You know what? Yours looks better than mine right now. So, yeah. Oh, that's really nice. Mark said that's really nice. Hey,
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So, but that's just our first paint.
Yeah.
So if you look down in our little image in our corner there, and I'm not going to be so good down here below me.
Okay.
I'm doing the Brady Bunch thing.
Oh,
okay. They're super small. They're about 1.5 inches tall.
Yeah.
Is what they are.
Yeah.
Because they're the normal zombie side.
Yeah.
Miniatures.
So that was a question?
Yeah. He didn't put a question mark on
okay.
it, but I'm gonna answer it like it was a question. So you'll see in the little image below me, the colors that we're going to be layering. We're layering today, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that is actually the technique that we're doing today is layering.
Just for the first, we're going to do a layer first and then a wash, then another layer.
Oh.
Yeah.
A layer, wash, and then a layer.
Yeah,
ooh, a wash. We get to do a wash.
Yeah, we're going to do a wash today.
Yeah, I need to.
With some purple.
Right? I need to do that.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know do we have paper towels?
This is like my Bob Ross impression here.
I skipped the paper towel part.
I can go get some paper towel.
Perfect.
But I'm not going to leave that sitting because he already explained why.
Yeah. So yeah, we've already done the 2 thin coats, and so it should cover pretty good. You're kind of covering up most of that white, so that way you get kind of a purple tint to everything. I'm not quite getting it. There we go. That's what we're looking for. So you see how I was talking in the first episode about
there we go.
mass tone and undertone.
Right.
So the mass tone is going to be. Oh, look at that.
He likes that.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm adjusting to it. So your undertone is that dark purple, and your mass tone is that lighter purple.
Oh, okay. Did you all get that?
That's essentially what's happening, but it's only happening with very thin paint. So I haven't completely covered it in that darker purple, and that's partially by design. Sometimes if those layers of paint are thinner, you might want to do some more coats if you're not happy with how it looks yet. And
we have a little bit of undertone of the green, right?
Not anymore. I primed it so much that I want to make sure to prime it. Really. Well, little minis extra. Of world craft. Actually, these are I can't see everything he said because they're Zombicide minis. These are Zombicide minis. Yeah. So I can see why you would think that. They do look like Forsaken, and that's actually that's the color scheme of Forsaken, if I recall correctly. The purple, more of the purple skin.
I'm glad type of zombies. He's my Warcraft guy.
It's just a coincidence. I wonder. If they're into fantasy miniatures, I wonder if they're into World of Warcraft.
I wonder.
But yeah, that's.
But we might be doing some of that too. I mean, we're not just gonna do Zombicide. Right. Don't worry.
Yeah, purple and green is definitely featured in the Forsaken color scheme, like everywhere.
We like that purple and green for our bad
absolutely,
guys.
Yeah. So they're not World of Warcraft. They are Zombicide miniatures.
So this is Zombicide Friends and Foes expansion, is what this is. So what is next? How long do we have to let these sit? I mean, these are almost dry, it feels like.
Maybe just another minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we could even just type. Maybe Mark doesn't have audio, so maybe.
I
wants...
I can type.
Yeah, just in case. You just type Zombicide, but you could even say they're inspired by the Forsaken.
These are Zombicide minions.
The colors are, yeah.
Oh, he says. Oh, he's heard you.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure.
He believes Blizzard also owns Forsaken.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Forsaken are the zombies that we kind of use as inspiration for these Zombicide miniatures to paint the colors. Yeah. So the Zombicide is made by Simon, which I think was
okay. So we don't know if it's Simon or Come On. I like Come On, Come On, let's play.
Well, in the original, the acronym is Cool Mini or Not, but I don't think they really go by that.
Did y'all know that Simon was originally Cool Mini or Not?
I don't think they go by that anymore.
I didn't know that. I think that's cool.
So
now you know.
The way you can tell if the paint is dry or not, you see how it's kind of shiny still?
Oh, yeah, his chest is still shiny.
If it's still kind of shiny.
He looks oiled up.
Yeah, exactly. So they look like they're going to go in a workout.
He totally looks like a beach bodybuilder still.
Pumping iron.
Yep.
If they're going to do Arnold Schwarzenegger, Did you hear about what happened to him?
What happened to Arnold?
He was assaulted. He was doing some kind of fitness
thing
and he was assaulted.
Did y'all hear Arnold got assaulted?
And apparently it was he wasn't even phased. He was just.
Well, I was gonna say.
He was just what? What was that?
I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'll be back for more.
So he's he's not gonna press charges or anything because I think there was some behavioral some kind of issues that the person was going through, and he understood. He was empathetic, so.
Well, that was nice of him.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I don't know the full story, but it's interesting that he's.
Well, if you know more of the story,
news. Yeah,
let us know.
Yeah, comment on there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
Arnold.
That's what we're here for. So yeah.
All right, so
we're gonna let this dry a little bit, just a little bit longer, but then we're gonna do a wash in purple.
Or a wash, if you say it.
Yeah.
Is there any paint that dries with?
Oh, where is it? Druchii Violet. Okay, so the color we did before.
I had this big old thing right in front of your.
I don't know.
I know.
It's you know what? I think you can X it out.
Can I? I've been trying to X out of that for
where it's
weeks.
The X on the bottom.
I'll do this.
Oh, there you go.
Is there any paint that dries with UV?
Yes, there is a UV paint.
That is a very good question, Mark.
It's made by Green Stuff World. It's a UV resin, and you can use it to make water effects. I think they just released it actually.
Really?
And the tricky thing.
We're gonna try that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna play around with color shift paints, what they also make. Have I showed you the color shift yet?
I don't think you have.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that.
Ideally, you want to use an airbrush for the color shift. But that's a whole other.
We do have an airbrush to play with. I'm going to bring in an airbrush.
We will definitely have a chance to play with that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Green Stuff World. The problem with them is that Green Stuff World is based in Spain, so you got to pay a little bit more to ship it over to the U.S.
Hey, Green Stuff World, do you want to send us some of your stuff to demo?
We haven't tried your UV resin yet, and we definitely love your color shift paints, which we just plugged just now for free. Yeah, feel free to send us stuff our way, and we will demo it for everybody.
Definitely.
I do love the color shift paints. They work particularly well with flat surfaces like Space Marines, and
the one I called a Space Cowboy, and everybody laughed at me.
Yes, hey, it works. It works totally. You could paint it like a space cowboy. Have all the logos and everything.
Darling, it's space.
Have guns crossed as their icon or something.
That's right.
Absolutely. Okay, so
it's my mini. I can make it whatever I wanted. Right.
Not quite yet dry, but yeah. No? One more. Oh wow. Let's see. There's nothing to worry about.
Oh boy. That's a big comment. I can't even get it on the big one. Let's see if I can.
Yeah.
Thanks, but there's nothing to worry about. I thought I was just jostled by the crowd. It's a quote from someone. What was said on Twitter by something about not interrupting his Snapchat.
We'll have to check that out later.
We'll have to check that out. We have something blocking.
We're having a pop-up, so.
We're having a pop-up issue. Mm-hmm. I might be able to get it up on Twitch.
Yeah, we'll double check that. But while we're doing that, we're gonna see if this paint, it's still a little wet. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait.
Is it really taking that long?
We're gonna have to watch paint dry.
No way.
This
I'm going to get the thing. That's why he didn't press charges. Oh, that's why he didn't press charges.
Yours is ready.
Fabulous. Mine's ready. Lurk refresh. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for checking us out.
Senpai.
Yes.
By the way, Senpai, thank you for that.
Senpai sensation.
See,
Senpai sensation.
I always say it wrong.
Yes.
But thank you for that.
I am noticing
gift,
you. I am noticing you. Are you noticing me, Senpai? Okay.
Alright, so...
I have a shirt that says it. Senpai doesn't notice.
This is what Arnold said. Thanks for your concerns, but there's nothing to worry about. I thought I was jostled by the crowd, which happens a lot. I only realized I was kicked when I saw the video like all of you. I'm just glad the idiot didn't interrupt my Snapchat.
Oh, okay. Okay, there you go. So we have an update. An Arnold update. Dad Jokes 101.
That was awesome.
Yes, awesome. Oh, wow.
Thank you.
We're going to have a lot of those kind of jokes on this show.
Yes.
So definitely. That will just happen. This is an unscripted show. Okay.
Yeah, we're totally live.
Okay. So I've noticed you left some areas of the boobles or bubbles or whatever on his arms, but that's okay because you see, you can't really see exactly.
Oh, see, now I thought that was like...
That's still like the...
I thought that was like puffy sleeves.
That's still his arm.
I thought those were like arm armor puffy sleeve kind of thing.
It's fine because what you're going to do now is you're going to do a purple wash.
I didn't think that... It totally does not look like that is.
Well, that's the problem. That's one problem with priming. Is that you can't really see the details. Either if it's black or white.
It totally looks like...
Yeah. Well, that's an armor plate.
That's armor.
For sure. But
I see that does right there kind of look like that's boilage.
So we're going to shake this up really good too.
Oops.
Even though this paint is... It's not really so much a paint as it is very thin.
That's right. We'll wash it.
It's almost like ink. It's called a Citadel shade Druchii Violet. So we're gonna take that out the same way we did. We're not gonna add any water though. Don't add any water.
Don't add water to a shade.
Yeah,
because it's a shade.
Yeah, if you add water to it, it'll.
That was my attempt at a joke.
it creates kind of an odd effect. So it's hard to.
And hello, new viewers.
There we go. So I'm gonna give you
Feel free to comment
about.
We're done with this primer, yes.
Yeah. We've already primed white.
We've already primed it.
So, if you
we've done the first base coat. And if you want to know more about primer, that's our second episode. We talked about all sorts of primer.
Yep, and what we did, why we decided on the white primer.
We talked about white primer, black primer, clear primer, no primer.
Yep.
When to use primer, when not to use primer.
So this is dry enough. I'm just going to put this right on. And one thing about washes, you know what, I'm just going to...
So now I'm going to wash everywhere, but everywhere I have purple, correct?
Yep, everywhere you have purple, you're just going to cover up all those areas, just like on the demo here. And you can see he's still a little light, so that's the whole idea is I'm getting more contrast by doing the wash. Guys? And I'm putting that right on. Just put it right on. One thing you want to make sure is... You want to make sure it's not, there we go. See how it's kind of shiny right here? How much more contrast you're already getting. One thing you want to make sure you don't do when you're washing.
I'll wash these bubbly areas too.
You want to try to get a little scoop and then pull it around, but you want to make sure it doesn't pool too much in any one spot. Because if it does, that dries as a big clump of dark purple or whatever color you're using.
Well, these look like brains now.
Yeah, they do have that kind of
Check that out on his arm. Can y'all see that? Let's see if I can get it to...
Here, I'm gonna...
How that looks like brains.
Let's try to cover this up as much as I can.
Come on, close up cam. Don't get that close.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's fighting us again, isn't it? It's like...
There we go.
It was so nice to us at the beginning.
You see how that looks like brainage? There we go.
Right.
And that right there on his arm only has the wash on it. They are made of plastic.
Yes, they are made of plastic. Yes, and there's different kinds of plastic, which is something I do talk about in the very first episode as well. That some types of plastic you can paint directly on, but other kinds, like the Reaper bones, You can paint directly on, but you cannot add any water to the paint.
Yes.
So you have to.
They're
you have to actually.
hydrophobic.
They're hydrophobic, so you have to go against the
That's
the
a
Dunkin'
word you
rule.
have to drink.
Yeah, you have to break the Dunkin' rule. We don't have any booze, do we?
No, I didn't get a chance to go get any cider.
Oh my gosh!
I know. I'm just falling down.
We gotta get our sponsor in on that too.
I know. Jackson, call me. Crush Craft Cider.
So this is what it's gonna look like.
Official drink.
It's not quite adjusting, but you can kind of tell the idea here. So it's getting into the crevices, right? Into the areas where there's detail. And then the raised areas also get a little darker too, right? So all those muscle creases are going to get really dark purple, and the more like the pectorals,
gives them a six-pack.
Exactly. It's just to help define how much they've worked out. That's the only reason you're even painting a miniature.
It is the only reason.
Exactly.
Why does it say the Heidi and Dane Q. Gore? Well, I'm the Heidi.
Yes.
And this is Dane Q. Gore. That's why.
Yeah. Those are our names.
Yeah,
Yes.
in case you wanted to know who we were.
Yep, it's to keep track.
And and in case we forget who we are.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yes.
There's another dad joke for you.
I can look up on the monitor and go, oh, that's who I am today.
We got some more dad jokes for you.
Exactly.
Okay, so
we're getting up there in age.
We want to let this paint dry for these washes. You want to let dry a little bit longer than you would with your regular coats of paint. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now he understands.
Cool. Oh yeah, and we forgot to mention these handles that are also Citadel. So these handles come in very handy.
Although I did kickstart a new handle, which should be showing up here soon.
Okay, we'll definitely
be. And so as soon as that shows up, you're going to be seeing those.
We're going to promote that.
We will promote that because I'm a backer on that, and that's the 360 Robo.
We will promote anything regarding miniatures. I don't want you all to send weird stuff.
Oh yeah.
Anything miniature related.
I mean, if it's board game related, I'll promote it on the board game show, and if it's cosplay related, I'll promote it on my cosplay show.
Any miniature related things, yes.
Those would be good to be 3D printing. Oh yes, and I have a 3D printing show coming soon.
Yes, and we will be promoting that.
Yes, there you go.
And I will probably paint one of those.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be doing train. That's what I wanted on the 3D printing show.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be printing miniature trains.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, excellent. So then we can be painting those in the painting show. Yeah. There you go. So, but first I'm gonna just talk about 3D printers and upgrading and the beginning and all that jazz. Because wow, just all that is you've watched me getting into it, and it's just amazing, all the stuff.
Yeah.
So
how's yours looking? Okay.
This is mine with the wash.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I say it with an R. I'm related to George Washington. I know how to say it.
Yeah.
So
Great.
I find this fascinating. You need to look at his bulbous thing on his arm.
Yeah.
So that didn't get pre-painted.
Yeah, paint that.
I've only washed it.
That one there. Yeah, wash the other one too. Yeah.
So I washed it. You see how it's lighter.
Let me see.
Than the rest, but I like it.
Do the whole thing though.
Oh, but that's armor.
No, it's. Oh yeah, okay. I can see what you're talking about now. Well, you can barely tell it out because it's got bumps too.
Right.
So
but they're different bumps.
Here's another thing: when you're priming, if you're lost.
Do they? I did not know that. Thanks for letting me know that.
Oh, cool. Okay.
There's a creative and art tab.
Great.
I'll have to check that out.
We will definitely
get ourselves on that.
So
thanks, Mark.
So yeah, another way to get seen, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I'm cleaning my brush.
So if you're lost with your sculpt after you prime, sometimes I'll even do I'll break out with some black wash and just do the area so I can actually see what the heck's going on.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Or look at the example minis that they have painted. They don't have them painted, do they? On their box.
No, but we have cards.
For the zombies
heroes,
too?
not for the zombies.
See, now that's not fair because zombies deserve some,
They need some love.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Right? The zombies deserve love.
I gotta call you out, Simon. I gotta call you out on that.
Or come on,
or
let's
come on.
game.
Where's our zombie love? Yeah?
I think it's come on. Come on, let's game.
It makes sense. It makes sense to me. So yeah, you've got this guy here. I'm gonna take him off the base.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Just to kind of. There we go.
Give everybody an idea.
Yeah. So he got darker in general. Just
he
pretty
did.
much everything gets darker.
See, I think mine's getting darker than yours.
Yeah, it is a little bit. But,
I think that's because I'm heavier handed.
And that's okay. You're gonna have some.
But I wanted a darker mini anyways.
And yeah, you're still gonna get it. So you don't have to worry about.
So I think it's wise that I did that.
Yeah.
But I am a heavy-handed painter.
Yeah.
Heavy-handed painter. Plants vs. Zombies.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I haven't played that, but I want to.
Well, that's very.
Oh wait, now is that a video game?
Yeah,
It's also I think a tabletop.
It's everything now.
Yeah.
Like it was. I think it started out as a web game.
I'm not big into video games. I know I should get more into video games being on Twitch.
It did start out as it was like a shareware.
It started off as a video game.
Yeah, but like a shareware game. Like it was like super. Like I think you could play it
like
on
a free game.
On the internet.
Yeah.
This is before apps were really as big as they are, and then it became an app, and then now it's a fully realized video game, and they even have it in the arcade now as a redemption game too.
Oh wow!
So that's pretty much what happened to arcades.
All right, now I got to make sure. I got to find out if that's tabletop, because if it's not, it needs to be made into one.
So arcades have kind of come back in a small way, and what I've noticed, like
little figures of that game would be so awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
I bet they have some. Yeah,
if they haven't made it, we need to make that. You are correct.
Be on the lookout for those. Yeah. I bet they're around somewhere. So once this is dry, we're going to add the highlight color.
So next would be highlights.
Yep, we're going to do layered highlights. So I actually, as I mentioned before in the previous episodes, I keep notes to remind myself of the colors.
His Bible.
Particularly if the color schemes are things I've never tried out before. So that way I can keep track of like, oh crap, I totally forgot how to do that. And what made me do that was I made these... I'll bring them in sometime, but they're called Brimstone Horrors. They're a Warhammer creature.
Oh, okay.
They're
not horrors, horrors.
And I tried to come up with like a color scheme that like was like really different, like kind of a yellow green.
Oh,
with blue in it too.
Ooh.
And and then the very tips were like purple, and so it was very hard to keep track of all those colors, particularly the way they were layered.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't remember how I did it.
Oh no!
Yeah. So I had to I thought I had written it down.
Oh, that's the worst.
So,
no.
Yeah, and I looked through my book like 5 or 6 times.
He taught me, so I know to write stuff down.
Yeah, well, that's what did it though. It's like I need to actually have an actual notebook. I can't do this where I write it on a scrap of paper or post it. I need some kind of dedicated book.
I need to get a notebook, because I'm the scrap of paper girl, and so I have all these little scraps of papers of, oh, this is this plan, oh, this is this plan, oh, this is Yggdrasil, oh, this is this, oh, this is this.
And I mean, that's the thing, our notebooks are everywhere. Oh,
right?
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. That's too bad, he says.
It is.
Yeah,
it's awful.
It worked out, though. I came up with a reasonable proxy to that. So
now this highlight, we're layering on. We are not dry brushing.
Okay, this is the thing. You could do either of those things.
Okay.
So, did we demo dry brushing yet?
No, we have not demoed dry brushing yet.
So, maybe we should make that the demo for this one then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we'll be doing dry brushing again.
Yes, we'll be doing like a whole show on dry brushing.
Yep. Yeah. Where you can just do a whole entire miniature with just dry brush.
Yeah, because I think I have, that White Walker miniature I'm doing. Wait, it's a zombie side miniature, but I'm painting it to look kind of like a White Walker. Okay. And it's almost an entire, just all dry brush.
So what I just did was I found a puddle on my miniature.
No.
If you find an area of wash that's really dense, you want to pick it up with your brush before it dries.
Right.
Because otherwise it'll dry as a glob. So
no globs. We don't want globs.
And you don't want to have to wait forever for this to dry. It should only take about 10 minutes for the wash. So if it takes any longer than that, it might have been
that you were too heavy-handed.
Yep. And this looks great. So
yay! So, I wasn't too heavy-handed.
Well, we all find out.
I also hate when you forget to write the colors you mix for a unique color on a notepad. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely. That's another good.
Yes.
And even like the proportions, like, okay, it was this brand and it was this brand. If you keep track of all that.
2-to-1 or how much. Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, I hate when I do that when I'm doing any kind of art.
The way I measure usually is just like I did when I was taking out just a little dab, just a little dollop.
Dab will do you.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Just a little dollop of paint, and that's, like I said, I mean, we used basically that amount to cover that entire area. And
I still have some left.
Probably still would potentially have a little tiny bit left.
You see, I have stuff left on my palette there.
Oh, this purple. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's still a little tiny bit left in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just from my dad. All right, so highlights are next.
Yes.
And what color are our highlights?
So our highlights are going to be Gene Stealer purple, which is, as you can see, it looks a little gray in the picture, but it's a little bit lighter than the Lich purple, or actually quite a bit lighter.
It is quite a bit lighter.
So you can tell with value, even though this one looks a little gray. This.
Yes.
Yeah, it actually is closer to an actual purple.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's one of the things with cameras that I was talking about before. So what we're gonna use, we'll use an old brush.
Should I use?
Yes, that's the perfect brush. So
okay, so see how this brush,
the bristles, yeah,
the bristles are kind of cut off.
Right, you can get an old brush, cut off the bristle, the very top part of the bristles to create a dry brush, and we're gonna demo what a dry brush actually is. And what I'm going to do
is... It's always better to have leftover than having to mix it again. Oh, definitely.
And there's tricks to getting, putting your paint back into a new pot.
This was a used up brush that's just been kind of, cut up. So,
so you want me to demo with that one?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So, the idea on this is you got that flat area.
It's got a flat top.
Yeah. You don't have any kind of bristle or tips to the bristle, point to the bristle, right? And that's one of the best.
We're not using just the tip.
I know.
I had to say it.
I knew I'm setting you up there. So
it's dry.
Yes, the idea is you're getting the paint as dry as possible. You gather, you take as much paint as you can into the bristles, just like you would normally. Let's see if we can demo this here. So you see how much paint is on there? It's quite a big glob of paint.
Oops.
Quite a big glob of paint, right?
Oh, yeah, that's
good close-up, Cam.
That's more than a dab.
Okay, so then you get your paper towel, and you just kind of work it in there. And you see how there's a lot of paint there? Well, as you spread it out, you see how it kind of starts just picking up on the raised edges of that texture of the paper towel. That's what you want. And then what you do is do that same thing, light pressure, run it across the top edges as much as you can, the top part of the surfaces of your miniature. And it's not going to pick up so much on the camera, but what it's doing is you're getting your contrast back for your highlights. That's basically all you're doing here. I'm running it across the whole miniature as much as you can. Pretty light pressure. And a lot of people, what they will do is they will do multiple coats of this, or layers of this dry brush layer. But you're just kind of almost like you're dusting it, is how a lot of people look at it too. Let me see if I can get in there where you can kind of really, see, okay, yeah, you can kind of see it, like particularly on the top. Okay, it's getting fuzzy again. But on the top part of the miniature where it almost looks pink.
On its brain area. Does it give it more texture?
Yeah, any of the areas where there's lots of texture, that's where dry brush really stands out.
Yeah, I don't think it actually gives it gives it the illusion of texture.
Yeah, because of the brush strokes.
Yes.
Because you're getting all those brush strokes. Oh yeah, that was a question Mark had. Yes. So it's a visual texture. So it's just the texture of the brush strokes from the bristles, and that's why if you use like a really stiff bristle brush,
this one,
which is the type that I demoed with, that's why you're gonna get more of a scratchiness to it, and it can create almost like like in comic books where you see all those lines that are intersecting the cross hatching.
Yes.
It almost creates like that type of effect. And or even if anybody is if you've played Borderlands, that game where it has everything looks like it's got texture to it, but it also has like flat surfaces, so that's like a comic book effect. That's kind of what you can get with dry brushing. Yeah, if you do it enough, you just have to practice. Any of this stuff you have to practice with the pressure, with the dry brush in particular. You practice with the pressure of the bristles as it runs along the top surfaces of your sculpt, of your miniature. Yeah. So Heidi's doing the same thing on hers. And like I said, it can be a rather subtle effect because that paint that I just used, the Gene Stealer Purple, is lighter in value by, not by a ton of steps. The next one is, though, it's much brighter in value. So to go from here to here, see, that's what you're going to be doing. So you started out with this color, and then you washed it with that purple, right? You washed it. Oh, I'm running out of space. You washed it with the purple.
So not really a touch kind, more of a visual kind of look. Exactly.
Yep, just visual, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And then, so yeah, you're going in those steps in value, as well as your color. So this is going to be the final step. And again, on the camera, this looks a little gray, but it's called Dechala Lilac. Dechala. There we go. I need to put tape on these so I remember what direction.
Yeah.
What direction to face the camera with, and so I don't have to spin them around every time. Yeah. So I might do that. So that's what's funny about whenever you watch TV shows or whatever, they've got like where the thing is supposed to be facing. If you ever look at
they have their little marks.
Yeah, they have marks everywhere. So that way, the camera will actually pick it up. Otherwise, you will never see it. So if it's an important prop, like a Starbucks cup.
Is that good? Or do I need more?
So let's see here. Yeah, no, that looks good. Subtle. Yeah, it is going to be subtle for your
very subtle.
For your first layer. Can everybody see it okay?
I'm not used to these subtle highlights.
Yeah.
I actually, now when I dry brush, I use my hand. So I actually know I have it on. I actually have something on my brush. Mm-hmm. I actually use my hand. It's just something I do. Mm-hmm. And
to test it out?
To test it. Yeah. It's like, do I have something coming off? And so then I know if I have too much, if I get too much on my hand, it's like, oh, no, that's too much. And then I can just take it, and then I can also pick it back up off of my hand. Right. I just use my hand as my dry brush palette. It's just what I've always done.
Mm-hmm. And that's the part of it that becomes kind of more of an art than a science, right?
Exactly.
Which is why it's a hobby.
Exactly.
So if you're ready, we can go ahead and go on to the next step.
I think we are. I think we're ready. Yeah. So is it chala or hala? Hala.
We're going from here. We're going from here in value to here in value.
Oh wow!
So it's a big step. It's almost,
yeah, and it does look gray.
Yeah,
but
on the camera, yeah.
Popple is a kind of a grayish color. Purple, not popple.
It can be, yeah. It can very easily turn purple in the right kind of light. I mean, gray in the wrong, right or wrong, depending on how you look at it. It could be the right light. So I'm gonna do that same thing where I run it across the paper towel, but I'm actually gonna try to keep a little bit more paint this time, so that way I can get a little bit more contrast. And there's another technique called overbrushing, which we will talk about too. I think we talked about it a little bit last time.
I think we talked about it on one of my miniatures.
Yeah.
I did it on one of mine as a technique.
So I'm going to do that same thing. I'm running it across the top edge, but I'm going to try to do even lighter pressure because I do have a little bit more paint. So it's going to give it a little bit more, even a little more contrast towards a higher, lighter value. Right? So, and if any of this is confusing to anybody at any point, we can always slow down or back up or anything you need us to do. That's something to think about as well. We definitely encourage everybody to be active viewers.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you have any questions, or if, especially on this dry brushing, if this is going too fast for you, because I know when I first saw a dry brush, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, you guys are making that look way easier than I have a feeling it is.
Well, but it really is that easy when you do it enough times. So I've done this hundreds of times, so that's the only reason.
That is part of it. Yeah. Is when you do it enough times, and I got to the point where I liked dry brushing so much, where I literally would just dry brush miniatures.
Right. No, that's another thing. Like, yeah, that's totally something you could do. Like, if you're doing a whole army, prime black, dry brush 2 or 3 colors, done. Right.
Exactly.
I'm actually adding more steps to this just so that way everybody can kind of like, if they've never painted a miniature before, they can understand how many options there really are. More than anything else.
Here, just take it out and put it on there.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's probably going to be our good strategy here. So this is them two together.
So you can see.
Yeah.
The difference. Now, see, I probably did a little heavier dry brush, I think. Just because I always do.
It just corrected the color a little bit more, too. So it's a lot closer to what we're actually seeing. And, of course, I am going to put examples of stuff that we've done. I already have some on Instagram.
Yes.
And I did
check out our Instagrams.
On the Instagram, they're actually layered, but the effect is not going to be as noticeable on camera. So that's why when you mentioned dry brushing, I'm like, yeah, we better just go with that, at least initially, until we can get more used to the format, Because it's also a good thing to learn, It's just a good thing to practice.
This is true. True.
Layering, basically, the difference between dry brush and layering is you're still getting highlights. But with layering, you have more control over what they actually look like. So that's the trade-off. It's going to be a lot trickier to do because you have to use a fine detail brush to do layers. Generally speaking, of course.
Correct.
Depending on the scale. Something this small, you want to try to do like the muscle striation in the pectorals, that kind of thing.
You actually kind of just go down the line of it.
Yeah.
With the fine brush.
Yeah, and it's a very fine brush.
And you literally just kind of just touch up those high points.
Yep.
With that higher color.
Right, towards, not all the way to white necessarily.
No.
Because if you go all the way to white, it looks too chalky.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you want to make sure you still have some color no matter what you're doing. Like this is about as far as I like to go with highlights before I get all the way to white. And like I said, it does look very gray. So you want to imagine that it's a little bit
right. But once you got it on here, this one was mine, right?
Yeah.
You notice it doesn't look gray. It looks more just like contrast.
Yeah, lighter purple. That's all you're going for. You don't want to go
like
all the
a
way
lavender.
The only time you ever want to go all the way to white is, of course, if you're doing highlights on a white object.
And if you look at that little bulbous arm that I didn't get the base on originally, it kind of has now kind of blended. There's some areas that you can see is a little lighter, but it's really kind of blended in now.
Yeah.
Through all the different layers.
I think that one actually is mine because I can see.
Oh, wait.
Oh, that's got the metal though. That's the metal.
Oh, okay. So wait, I was looking at the wrong one. That's why it's blended.
That's okay, but
so it is mine. So this one is mine. Okay.
But you can barely tell.
So this is mine. So let's check out that bulbous area.
Yeah.
Has it blended, or can you tell a difference?
Yeah.
Oh, it's still kind of blended. All right. So.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking out of my ear.
No.
So
no, I got distracted by that metal plate again because there's a metal plate on hers, so I keep thinking that it's an area that hasn't been painted.
But it's armor, and so it shouldn't be purple.
No, it's not going to be purple. We're going to paint that orange. Actually, we're going to do like a rusty. Rusty metal, yeah.
And that's also how we can know what's mine and what's his.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly, by the armor plate.
Mine isn't as good.
Okay, I think we have. Do we have enough time? Yeah, we have enough time to do green.
Yeah, I think we do. I think we have. Well, we're at an hour now, but I think we. What do y'all think? You think we can keep going? I think we can keep going. We can keep going to green.
Yeah. Well, always is it? Oh wait, what time is it? It's 5:30.
Yeah, we started early. Remember?
Oh yeah, we started early. We're gonna go over a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
We can go over.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we'll do green now.
So we're gonna do green.
So the idea for this one is we're actually starting out with a lighter color because we want this color to contrast with the darker purple.
Okay.
Because as you can see, even with the highlights, that is a darker color. Purple is almost always going to be.
Now, are you doing a different color green, or is it just because this had a black base that it looks different? Because see how your skirt Well, because you have a different
black
meaning.
base coat, yeah.
Is it just because this had a black base coat that
Yeah.
this green
The green looks very
different
very
than this green?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're the same greens?
Yeah, that's absolutely the reason. So these are the same exact layers of green.
Okay.
Just so this is on a black base coat, black prime.
That's black prime.
And then this is white prime. That's the only difference. It did
wow.
the same exact steps and everything. Yep. So.
Wow.
So much darker, right? Oh, we lost them. Come back. Okay.
Thank you.
But that's also been dry brushed because it's a texture.
Yes, yeah. So you can tell that this has been dry brushed because you can see that texture on there.
Right.
Like
it's a lot for dry brushing. Dry brushing in general shows up on black much more dramatically.
Yes,
in general.
It really does.
So if we had done that same thing on that for the black prime, it probably would have showed up. But the only problem is it's on a black prime, so you've got that value is so much darker.
Yeah.
Right? So it's still kind of hard to show up on camera.
All right.
Quite the same.
So
way.
what are our green?
Well, yeah, our green is going to be
green values.
See, these are the greens here. That's how it's going to look. So we want to start out with goblin green.
Goblin green.
And I can't remember the exact name for the modern, because they came out with a new range a few years ago. Goblin green. So you want to look up...
So if you know the new name for it...
Yeah, tell us.
Comment and tell us the new name for Goblin Green.
They changed the range in like 2012, but it still seems like it's only been a few years ago. It's amazing to me. So
2012 was not that long ago.
These have been discontinued for a while, so yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, so we're painting with discontinued paint.
Which is
hey, guess what? You can.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the Lich Purple that I had talked about so much, the proxy for that is Xerius Purple.
So that's good to know.
The new Citadel. And in Goblin Green, I cannot remember the exact name, but it's the one that's it's like a middle green, and it's not like a real warm green, and it's not a real cool green. It's like in the middle. So you want to pay attention.
So it's a nerdy green.
Yeah. I don't know what you mean.
Well, it's not a cool green.
It's not cool. Okay.
It's a nerdy green.
Oh my gosh. But what would warm be? Okay, so I'm gonna get my brush.
That's a passionate green.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a player.
Okay. So I'm gonna do that same thing. Get a little dollop of paint there. Put it on my palette. And I'm gonna do.
Now, and you're gonna give me a dollop.
Oh, you want to do? Okay, yeah, I'll do.
No, you do it.
Okay, just a little dollop.
A dollop will do me.
And I'll put it in this green spot here.
Okay.
And then you just dip your brush in the paint.
Right,
in the water. Dip your brush in the water.
I'm gonna dip myself.
Kind of spread out the paint a little bit. Do the two thin coats again.
Spread my paint
all over again. And I've got the one that's got the fur, so it's kind of a lot of.
He's got a furry.
Yeah. Well, furry zombie, that would be something. I'm sure.
There we go. All right.
It's a thing.
So now, is it just this skirt?
Yes. So for yours, it would be the skirt. For me, it's the fur. So.
Not the armor or the spikes.
No, but that's okay if you get any of those, because we're going to cover those up.
Or what about this thing on his foot?
We want to avoid the bandages, so we're just doing like the skirt. The bottom half.
Okay.
Clothing.
And but none of this armor.
Not the bandages, not the armor, right? And of course, if you still get it, that's totally fine, because this is all going to be covered up anyway. But for the purposes of just demoing it, we'll stick to just those areas so we can show what's being painted.
This is a little bit of detail painting for an army.
Yeah, so we may have to find some ways to do shortcuts when we get to that point. Definitely. Yeah.
Because, we probably have like 20 of these, I think.
Well, and, that's another aspect of doing these tests, is you may want to do multiple tests before you commit to painting 50 of them. Yeah, to make sure you're not committing to, I gotta do this, 20 steps on every single one. Exactly. And then
you get like 5 in, and you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this on every single one.
Exactly. Yep.
And then you're like, but I got 5 of them done. Now what do I do?
And you want to be consistent, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess I'm gonna have 5 head dudes or something because they're gonna look different. Yeah. So.
Oh, you know, I didn't even think to mention this, but did you finish Game of Thrones?
I did.
You did? Okay, I haven't. So.
Oh, okay. So no spoilers.
No, I was just curious. I just now thought of it though. Like...
So all right. So I kind of feel like they're phoning it in for these last few episodes.
That seems to be kind of the consensus. So.
And so I just started Game of Thrones in the last 30 to 45 days.
Okay.
And I really got into it. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, wow, all these people that have been telling me all these years that I should be watching this, I guess I should have been listening to them. Mm-hmm. But now I'm kind of glad that I just got into it in the last 30 or 45 days. And I didn't waste years on it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The investment, right?
Yeah. Because, the finale was not as bad as the Lost finale, which I did waste years on. Mm. But
that's not saying much, though, is it?
Yeah, because everybody did that.
I actually never did see Lost, so
no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting.
Well, Lost as a show was fantastic. Lost at the end was sucked.
I did hear that was definitely the consensus for the
and you know, I get frustrated with some of these shows where it's like it feels like. They were giving it, they were writing, they were doing great, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, let's just wrap this shit up and move on.
I mean, and
it's like, what the fuck?
They even did that with Sopranos, right?
You know, I never watched
Which
that.
I also haven't ever seen it, but I do know everybody said that the ending pretty much sucked. Like, it was just like there was nothing to it.
And I mean, sometimes you feel that way just because you don't want to see it end.
Well, yeah.
But
it's
okay,
hard to know
here's
really
an example of a show that they gave it the all through the entire show and including the end. MASH.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And characters actually died and that
fantastic
kind of thing,
finale. Yeah. Fantastic end. Right. Fantastic show all the way through. They gave it the all every time they had to change characters, you know. When they had to kill off a character, they did it. They actually did it. And
it wasn't like a Jon Snow thing where it's like, oh wait, no, he's not really dead.
Right. And they, you know, they gave us what we wanted in the season finale. You know, Hot Lips Houlihan and Pierce literally kiss on that the you know, come on, everybody loved the MASH ending, and so yeah. I'm sure there's more examples. I'm sure I just freaking dated myself like to no end.
Well,
but
I know about the MASH too.
But yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So that
or Cheers. That's another one.
Oh, Cheers. Yeah, that's another good one.
I don't remember how it ended though.
I'm trying to remember how it ended too.
Yeah.
But that's another one where you felt. And I don't remember how Friends ended, but I think everybody was happy with that one, too.
I liked the Frasier ending where he's like, do you remember that?
Oh, and Seinfeld. That was another good one.
Yeah. That was an iconic ending.
Yeah.
All right. So you did the green.
Yeah.
The Goblin green. You're going to let that dry.
Green. Yeah.
So if you did about a couple of thin coats, maybe, is there a little bit more paint in there?
I got dried out.
It dried out? Okay.
That's what she said.
The air got to it. Okay, so we'll give you a little bit more. So you can do a little bit, just a little bit more, just to get rid of some of the patchiness of it. So that's really the only reason you even do.
I'm patchy.
Like do 2 thin coats, really.
That's only 1 coat.
To get so you want to do 1 more.
And you can tell.
Yeah, because you want to try to get good coverage. You know, as much opacity as you possibly can.
Ooh, opacity. I think that's a drinking word.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, if only I had brought the alcohol.
They'll have to hook us up next time.
We totally need to get hooked up. Crush Craft, call us.
That's right.
All right.
You know our number.
Yeah, you do.
Come on.
I know you got it.
All right, cool. So, I'm going to do a second coat. And,
this might not have been dry enough.
Kind of thin. Oh, is it spreading around on you?
No, it's clumping.
Okay. Well, I should be able to recover from that. So.
Yeah, I'm recovering it.
Okay. Good. Because, this is all going to get it's all going to get covered up anyway. So if anything doesn't look quite to your satisfaction, there's still time. Because since we are doing the thinner coats instead of a thick coat, we don't have to worry about losing our detail. That's another advantage to doing the thinner coats. My personal problem is to actually do too thin. Like the coats
you get too thin.
Sometimes I find myself, I catch myself not having enough contrast because all my coats that I'm doing, all the layers I'm doing are way too thin, so they never really get noticed from anyone else but me with magnifying glasses.
Well, now see, that is not my issue.
Okay.
I put it on too thick.
Yeah.
That's my issue.
Well, and the way around that is you can always just add a little tiny bit of water and spread it around before it dries. Yeah. So that's one of the ways you can go around that. So painted the green, it's still drying. So no matter what we do on this show,
so see how different that looks?
Mm-hmm.
This is the black base.
Yeah, the same sculpt. So
same exact sculpt, same colors.
Yeah.
And
but you notice that's definitely going to read on the tabletop a lot more, I think.
Oh yeah.
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 Without any more work to either of them. That would be considered a mostly finished miniature, other than maybe the spikes and the eyes, and the armor plates, of course. Which we'll get into those details next time. We'll probably have enough time to do all of those the next.
Yeah, so we're gonna do details next time, right?
Yeah,
on these guys.
Yep, like in the armor plates. So
armor and spikes.
The armor will count as the third color, which if you remember from the previous episodes,
you always want at least 3 colors.
Yeah, why not, right?
Right.
I mean, you could get away with 2, but it's kind of most
the
miniatures are.
Rule.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. Most miniatures are.
We'll call that the GirlzgameToo rule.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
The happy little miniature rule.
We may be stealing it from other sources, but I doubt it.
I don't think so.
Nah.
We're making our own rules.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most of these miniatures have enough complexity to them that 3 colors is probably about the minimum, right?
Right. Oh, I think 3 colors should be the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
2 colors is just boring. What do y'all think? Comment if you have a comment on that.
Yeah, show us some black and white miniatures, even like some that don't have any color.
Okay, now that could be interesting now. Yeah. Black and white.
Yeah.
But then wouldn't you still want to put some gray in there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for highlight. Yeah.
Like if you did a black prime.
So then you still have your 3 color rule. See?
Well, yeah, 3, right, even 3 values, right?
Yeah, you still want those 3 values.
Yeah,
see?
even 3 values.
So happy little miniature rule right there.
Yep. It's official.
It's official.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Yes.
The happy little miniatures always had to have at least 3 values.
Okay, so we're getting pretty close to dry on these.
Yeah.
Maybe just like another minute. So you notice, like, if the coat, if it looks really shiny, it's definitely too wet, right? Unless you're using gloss, of course. It's a whole other...
Right.
That's a whole other show, talking about gloss.
Oh, we will have gloss metallics. Don't worry, that show will be coming.
Yeah. But if it looks kind of like a little satiny, it's starting to dry.
What is next?
So we're going to do a wash. Another wash.
Another wash.
Yes, this time of Bealtan Green. Bealtan Green.
Bealtan.
Yes, so like I said before, these washes, these shades, they're the same. They're basically the same thing, whether they're called a wash or a shade. They're basically a super thinned out paint.
That's good to know.
Fairly highly pigmented. This stuff is not as highly pigmented as ink is.
I was just going to say, but isn't it pretty close to an ink?
Yeah,
you could use an ink for a wash.
It's absolutely, yes. That is a good
acrylic
glad
ink.
You mentioned that. You're going to get a much more dramatic effect than you would with this. This is more subtle.
Because there's more pigment.
Yep. It's mostly pigment.
You're going to learn about that if you check out our first episode.
Ink is mostly pigment. Just keep that in mind. If it ever says it's an ink, it's going to definitely be on the denser side pigment-wise. Okay, so I'm going to grab some of this paint, put it on the palette. Just in this case,
he's gonna do the same for me because I always grab too much.
In this case,
I get greedy.
You want a little bit more than you did with the I don't know if I showed you how much wash I actually take out. So where is it? Where is it? It's not showing.
There it is. I see it.
Right here.
Yeah.
So you want a little bit more of a puddle than a dollop. Okay. A little bit more of a puddle than a dollop. Yes, absolutely. Right there. So sometimes I just go into the pot.
That's a good puddle.
Because it picks up on the brush a little bit better if you just dip right into the pot.
I always like to go into the pot.
Yeah. And start spreading it out.
Depending on the type of pot, the strain.
And indica or sativa.
I'm a sativa girl.
Yeah, I can't remember which one is the one that doesn't work with me.
Well, indica puts you into couch.
That's the kind that I like.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I'm glad. That's a good way to. That's a good mnemonic.
It is.
Yeah.
Whereas sativa is more like just keeps you high and up and energy wise.
I'm already like that because of caffeine.
That. Yeah.
So since I drink so much caffeine,
I discovered a double dirty chai today from Dutch Brothers. Say that 3 times fast.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can say that again.
Not cha-chas?
Well, no, I didn't go all the way to Grand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
no. If we could get cha-chas in on this sponsorship action.
There you go.
You know, because they're local, right? Local first.
Yeah, local first.
Yeah. Well, Dutch Brothers is gonna move. Did you hear about that?
No, I did not.
Because the one on Central, at least, they're gonna get moved to a new location because of the parking thing.
Well, I have a Dutch Brothers right here by my house.
Oh, you're lucky then.
Yeah. I got a Starbucks that's right. And a Dutch Brothers.
I forgot about that. They're right next to each other, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Makes it nice and easy.
So I spread this out on the fur here, and as you can see, it's still
because he has a furry.
Still pretty shiny. Got a furry zombie. Just a very specific thing. So you can see it's getting contrasted.
They're into dog piles.
That makes sense.
Totally.
Okay, so we did this green, this goblin green.
I like this wash.
And then we did this Bealton wash, right? Oh, hey, thank you, Zoomy camera. There we go. The wash is what we're doing right now. Yep.
Are we going to do a highlight on this?
We are. I'm glad you asked. So we want to wait for that wash to dry, about 10 minutes. And that should be just enough time for us to finish up with highlights. And
so I like this.
We'll do dry brush, just like we did. Since that is a technique that reads on camera a little bit better. And it's also generally a better technique for mass production, which is what we're going to get into. We're going to segue into that. Once we've gone through all these steps, we are going to segue into making fully done miniatures, right? On assembly line
style.
Absolutely. And after we do the details and everything, the miniature is completely done.
Yeah.
We're gonna do the basing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then
we're gonna base them and everything.
Totally done. And then we're gonna do assembly line.
Yes.
So that's the plan. That's the plan for these.
Then
guys.
we'll assembly line so you can see how to do batch painting.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. And then we'll go on to the next set of batches.
Mm-hmm.
And then, are we going to do the heroes last? Because they'll be individual.
Yeah. They spend the most time on the heroes and like these guys. So when we get to the big dudes, right? The big dudes and the spellcasters and those kind of guys, that's when we can start talking about like, okay, we're not just going to do dry brush, we're going to do layering, we're going to do some stuff that's a little bit more careful and methodical to really make them stand out, right?
Yeah.
To really, really make them stand out. So.
Just an update.
Okay. Thank you, Windows. Is it Windows?
Yeah, okay. It was Adobe, Creative Adobe.
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Is that what you use for the show? Do you use Adobe?
Oh, I use Adobe to make a lot of my my signs. And
the graphics. Okay.
Graphics, a lot of the graphics.
All right.
I used Adobe to make that.
Oh yeah. Right. See. Okay.
Yeah.
I did it right.
Hey, good job.
Yay. I had to think in reverse.
Graphic design.
Yep. It's tricky. Okay.
Yeah.
So our highlight, which is I think we're gonna finish up the show with this.
Yeah, I think this will be. We have just a few more minutes.
This is perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got 10 more minutes. We're gonna do our final highlight with Dorn Yellow.
Dorn yellow.
Yeah, so you might be
How
asking...
Game of Thrones is that?
Yeah, Yellow of Dorn.
Yellow of Dorn. There we go.
It's a coincidence, folks. It's a coincidence.
It totally was.
So, yeah, maybe
right.
George R. R. Martin must be a Warhammer fan, right?
Well, and did you hear... So, I'm going to be at Phoenix Fan Fusion this weekend. Are you going to be there, too?
I'm not.
Oh,
I cannot make it. I have to work on it. I have puppet homework. So,
well, that's a good reason not to be there.
It's a good reason.
Excuse me.
It's
so,
money.
I will be there, though. Mm-hmm. And I will have limited availability of...
Yes, let's plug.
Of meeples.
Yes.
Yes, I will be at...
Here, put one up on the close-up cam. Put one on the close-up cam. Yeah. There you go.
Voice.
Look at that. So these you have printed here at your place.
I did.
Wonderful.
I all of a sudden can't talk.
That's okay. We've got time, and I've got things I can say. So
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have to ask you what your booth number is, though. 245?
298.
298. Okay. So Heidi's going to be at booth 298 during Phoenix Fan Fusion this weekend, right? All weekend, right?
Yes.
Every day. Every day she will be there with these Famiples that she has produced in-house. So she has a 3D printer right here, and she's going to be she's made a bunch of these, and they will be for sale. And she's going to be promoting GirlzgameToo, which is... Did I say it right? GirlzgameToo? Okay. GirlzgameToo, which is the web series, the web streaming series that she is hosting. She's the creator of all of this. I'm just here to help. So this is all her doing. All right. So
expert.
What's that? Expert. At the miniature part, yeah. Well, the miniature part. That's the area that I know about. But she does everything. She does cosplay stuff. She does board game stuff. She does... what else do you do?
I lose my voice. Sorry about that, guys.
Well, that's why there's two of us. We're here to help each other out, you know?
Thank goodness. I don't know what that was.
It's fine. Totally.
So, yeah, these are for meeples.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I invented the meeple. It's a meeple with boobs.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully I'll keep my voice. And so, yeah, I do print these in-house right now. And I am also designing a game to go with them.
That's right. Yes. I saw a preview of it. It's fantastic. And
it's a Ragnarok kind of shield maiden game.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all about goddess power here. Tits out. And so, yeah, we have very limited availability because my 3D printer went down.
Stay golden, right? Stay golden.
Yeah.
You could have Golden Girls themed Valkyries.
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, we'll be at, I believe it's booth 298.
298. Okay, don't forget
with Core 6 Media. And Val also has some art.
Okay, Core 6 Media. Okay.
Yeah, so it's their booth that I'll be with.
All right.
And so come down and see us and say hey. And the girls from Real Girls Cosplay will be there as well.
Excellent.
Lizzie and Diana. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be at Phoenix Fan Fusion. Diana's going to be doing the masquerade. And I'll be handling that with her. And, oh, goodness. And I'm just gonna be all over. I'll see Stacy there. Stacy's gonna be there with Puppet Pie.
I don't know what her booth number is, but Puppet Pie.
But she's got a big giant wall, furry wall.
Blue,
you cannot miss
big
her.
Blue face.
And it's got eyes, big furry wall.
You cannot miss
definitely go check out the Puppet Pie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, she's who brought us together.
Yeah,
so, you know,
and I do a whole bunch of stuff at Puppet Pie Studios, and so I'll be over there some, and I'll be up in the board games area some, playing games. Lizzie will be there as well. Mm-hmm. Kids Need to Read. Lizzie's going to be at the Kids Need to Read booth.
Okay.
And I'm part of BRA, and they support Kids Need to Read.
Okay.
So check out the Kids Need to Read booth.
Perfect.
And just come on down and enjoy Phoenix Fan Fusion.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we won't have a regular Friday stream like we normally do because we're going to be at Phoenix Fan Fusion.
That's a good reason.
But I will have surprise snippets coming out of Phoenix Fan Fusion.
Okay.
So when I see a great cosplayer, I'm going to bring them on and go, hey, check out this cosplayer.
Nice.
So there'll just be little 5-minute snippets throughout the entire weekend, just coming on surprise. So get subscribed so you can see them all.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah. Thank goodness I got my voice back for all that. So and
that's a lot of info too. That's a lot of info, and you got it in like probably right at 2 minutes. So
and so now we can do.
Well, I think we can.
Our highlights.
I see mine is still pretty wet, so let's see if yours is. Has yours dried yet? So at least that way we could demo on one of them, right? Mm-hmm. That way we don't have to wait. Yeah, this one's.
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, this one's good. It's still a little tiny.
A lot.
It's a little tiny bit tacky, but just use light pressure.
Brush is good.
So that's where we can really play around with the edges of like what we can do with the physical realities of paint. Sometimes you actually can paint on paint that is not completely dry. Little secret there. But super light pressure, like feather touch, and you just build it up. All
right, so now I need
it's not
a
guarantee. This is not a guarantee.
Now
I've played around with the boundaries.
Should I dry brush this or layer it?
Yes, you would dry brush, but I'm going to give you a dry brush that's a little softer bristles.
All right, good.
Just because I want to make sure we cover the bases of it being not completely dry. It's like dry. The top layer is dry, but the bottom layer is still drying, which is something that's very common with paint. So what could happen is you might lift up the previous layer,
which we don't want to do.
You don't want to do that, but it's not a catastrophic mistake. That's another thing about painting miniatures or painting in general that maybe people don't really talk about a whole lot is like, what? So what if you screwed up? It's paint. You paint over your paint. Right? Mm-hmm. Any kind of mistake you make, paint over it. That's what's so great about paint. I don't know what else to tell you. That's why I love teaching it.
Right?
Make as many mistakes as you want. It's not like watercolor. You can.
Oh, watercolor is.
You can't go back. You can't go back with watercolor.
Something that forgives.
Yeah, and in the case of a canvas painting, you don't like it, put gesso over the whole thing. Start over. Start completely over, and then you've got all the history of all those layers of paint underneath there. You got something interesting there. You've got some texture, got some history, some point of reference. That canvas is no longer this blank, empty nothingness, right? It's got something to it. It's got some life to it that you can always bring back out again in some way or another. And in the case of miniatures, don't like it, throw it in some simple grain. Unless it's resin. Don't do it with resin.
Yeah, don't do it with resin.
Never, ever do that with resin. Because it will melt, because it's a solvent for resin. It's a solvent for paint, too. Which, okay, there we go. So it dissolves paint, right? That's the whole idea. Okay, so Heidi just dry brushed this. She did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Look at that contrast. Look at that contrast. You can really see. See, now, that's why I had yellow as the choice, and I'm going to show it on this camera too.
It did a really great job of highlighting.
There we go. Look at that. There we go.
Yeah, it highlighted it up really perfectly.
Instead of a light green, or even a yellow green, just go straight to yellow. It may seem counterintuitive, but you see the result. And what that does is it really makes the green much lighter than the purple. So you've got a value contrast as well as a complementary contrast that's happening there. It's all by design.
Yeah. And I love the way that it just brought out the tech. I didn't even realize there was that much texture in that skirt.
Right. Well, and you also created some implied texture, which is something you can do where you can create like a leather that's been worn out and it's got those scratches in it. Yeah. That's something you can do a dry brush.
It's like right here.
Yep. A lot of super fussy, Golden Demon level, like 6 months on one miniature level painters will do that by hand, and like each little scratch will be one brush stroke.
Well, now I did do that a little bit.
Right. Well,
on a couple of those.
Or you can just let the brush do the work for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, you can do that. Yes, you can spend 6 months on a miniature, or you can figure out how to do just the right amount of pressure.
Yeah, I need to
and let the
wash
brush
this.
do the work for you. There's a lot of options there. Of course, the heavy metal Golden Demon level, they are amazing for a reason. It is a completely different world than what we're talking about here. You know, and I'm somewhere in between those two worlds. I'm between the beginner and the Golden Demon. I'll probably never have the patience.
I know, he's pretty close to Golden Demon.
Well, I will. You know, I will enter one of these days. Like I kind of have this goal to enter or something before I'm 50. So that's, you know, I think that's a good goal to have. I still got 8 more years. You know, so 7.5.
All right, so that is.
Is it time?
Well, do you think you have time?
Mine's still wet,
okay.
So I will do this. I've got homework. I always have homework.
He's got homework.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, it's time to transition out to our end screen.
Okay.
And
thank you, everybody.
To say farewell, and as soon as I find my little thing, and
I salute you all.
We will be back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
To do our...
Or as Arnold would say, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. To find our... what are we doing in 2 weeks? We're gonna
do the metal and the details,
spikes.
the spikes, the eyeballs.
Yeah.
We're gonna figure out
all
what color we want to paint those.
Yeah.
I think probably orange for the eyeballs.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
All right. So, we will see you all in a couple weeks.
Yes. Yay.
Oh, and I'll have my new puppy then, too.
That's right. Phoenix Fan Fusion and a puppy will happen in the meantime. Yes.
Oh, wow. That's going to be great. All right.
Great.
So we will see you then. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Bye.